Hey, here we go. Jake. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the February 14th. February 14th. What is so significant about that day? Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there. We appreciate you spending your time in the House Education Instruction Subcommittee. So enjoy your Valentine's Day. We will try to be brief today. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Representative Bain, Representative Chisholm, Representative Glenn, Representative Hakeem, Representative Hicks, Representative Johnson, Representative Leatherwood, Representative McCalman, Chair Lady Moody, Representative Reagan, Representative Raper, Representative White, Chairman Sapicki.
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Members, we have two new people here today from the Secretary of State's office. We have Greg Yates. Greg, where'd he go? There he is. And then we have a new Sergeant Arms, Lamar Gordon. Mr. Gordon, how you doing today? Thank you for coming today. We appreciate it. Members, I'm going to take a little privilege here. Since we are in education, Vice Chairman Raper will begin our committee with the word of the day. Chairman Raper.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm going to start out with an educational word today, and it won't always be educational. It'll just sometimes different wording. But today is pedagogy, and so those on the Education Committee may or may not know this one, and those in the audience may not know. But anyway, it's the method and practice of teaching. It's a teacher's approach and teaching style as it relates to different theories as they use, and they give feedback. And so I'm going to do a word. I'm going to do a sentence with our word of the day. With many lessons, we tell teachers to make their own pedagogical decisions based on their students' needs. Pedagogy.
Outstanding. Thank you, Chairman Raper.
Thank you.
Members, do you have any personal orders for today? Any personal orders? Don't see any personal orders. Members, we have one bill up today. One bill only. It's by, excuse me. Sorry, Chair Todd. I did. Do you have any personal orders?
I do now.
Chairman Moody, you're recognized.
So, ladies and gentlemen, from the great county of Tipton County, I have Jimmy Jackson in the audience. And Jimmy does our professional care services, the mental health, marvelous job. And the best part of Jimmy Jackson, he is a Cardinal fan. So I've already told him, if you're a Cub fan, your bill's going to die. Good to have you.
Welcome today.
Welcome.
Let the record show that Representative Glenn has arrived late. He'll be buying lunch for everybody after the meeting. All right, Chairman Todd, you're up first. Members, we have one bill, House Bill 2882 by Chairman Todd. Do we have a motion? We have a second. Chairman Todd, I don't see any amendments. You are in the proper position. Will you present your bill to us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I am feeling the love today on Valentine's Day. Thank you very much. This bill, House Bill 2882, amends the SAVE Act that we already have in law, and that SAVE Act stands for Schools Against Violence in Education. And it already requires annual safety training for students, teachers, and personnel. This bill will add firearm safety curriculum, some are already doing, to that template and credit towards the safety requirements already in place. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to take any questions.
Thank you. Members, do we have any questions? I'm going to start off very quickly with a question. Does any of this bill affect the pedagogy in our classrooms?
Not that I know of, sir.
Thank you very much. Representative Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I got a couple of questions. They're pretty quick ones. You said in your explanation that this already existed, but it's not required currently. It is allowed. It's permissive at this point. Is that correct? But you are requiring it with this legislation?
Chairman Todd.
Thank you for that question. So the SAVE Act requires safety training, which is already being done every year. It's an annual requirement, and they cover things like fire safety and tornadoes and things like that, that those folks in school, students, teachers, and personnel may encounter. Some are already teaching firearm safety, but not all. And this would add that as part of that same curriculum. We're not adding any time to their day. We're not adding another requirement. It's just saying within that training you're already doing, we want you to add this particular type of training, which I think is very important from the standpoint of, I don't know how many of you, I can't think of the last time I heard of a fire in a school, but we often hear stories of where a child's bringing a gun to in their backpack or something. And so kids are going to see firearms either at school or at home. And so this is just basic training that these our Department of Education, TWRA, and Department of Safety will be involved in crafting.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. Follow up, Representative Johnson.
So is there, like, I see these A through E, those are good points. Is there anything being removed from the curriculum? Because this is going to take some extra time. And I feel like we're continually putting things on teachers' plate. Now you have to add this, and it will be additional time to do this correctly. And I think those 5 points are important for children to learn. Is there parental permission if they don't want their child to receive this? Can they opt out of it?
Chairman Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is no provision in here for an opt-out or opt-in. It's just like there's not for fire training or tornado training. It just adds that as part of the discussion that they're already required to do, and it credits them toward that requirement in the SAVE Act.
Okay.
One more follow-up.
Yeah, this one is a short one as well. It should be. This number 2, be viewpoint neutral on gun violence. I didn't understand there was a neutral position on gun violence is bad. And I can't support anything that says we're going to be neutral on gun violence. Kids are going to ask questions. And the idea, is there good and bad side to gun violence? I just don't understand being neutral on gun violence, because to me, that's nothing but negative.
I think there's a question in there, Chairman Todd. You want to respond?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's just a point that we don't want anything politicized in this. It's just straight facts that we're directing the departments to coordinate putting this curriculum together so that it's not putting any kind of brand. We're not going to take some branding from some organization. It's going to be viewpoint neutral, politically neutral, and just stick to the facts of just, if you see a gun, don't touch it, tell an adult, just the basics, what this is involved.
Vice Chairman Raper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I think, Chairman Todd, that you alluded to this, but I just wanted to make sure to just clear the record. You said that this has been offered and it's not going to take away from the regular school day and add time on, you admit, you'd alluded to that. So I was just going to ask that one more time, please.
Chairman Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that question. That certainly has been one of my biggest concerns, because we hear that from folks all the time in the education field, that we come up here and we add something to their requirements, and that is not the intent of this at all, and it will not add time. They're already dedicating time to safety training. It just adds a topic that they will work into. As I said, they're spending time talking about fire drills and fire training, what to do in a fire drill, which rarely happens. I mean, it's extremely rare. This kind of thing is fairly important. And I think probably you could say near 100% of the kids before they're 18 will come across a firearm at home or at school. So this is something that they're encountering much more than they are fire. So we need to put some time into this, maybe take a little bit less on fire, not taking away from fire training, but I think there's time already dedicated to this in the school year. I don't know if it's one day a year, whatever they're doing now that the SAVE Act requires, and this just puts that in as another section. And it may just be a few minutes of the basics, but when they hear that year after year, if it starts in 3rd grade or 2nd grade or 5th grade, whatever this group decides, then they're going to hear that year after year until they graduate. So it'll drive the point home of what they need to do when they see a firearm.
Thank you, sir.
Let's go to Representative Hakeem.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Todd, you may already have it in here, but the age group that is proposed, this is proposed for.
Chairman Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that question. This will be determined by the Department of Safety, Department of Education, and Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. They will get their heads together and determine among themselves what's going to be the most age appropriate to start the training. And it'll be from that point forward, once a year, every year until they graduate.
All right.
Follow up?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I- Is there anything that we know of it that would call best practices in putting a program of this nature together? I guess one thing I'm thinking about is that does this pique the children's interest in handling a gun or seeing a gun, or, you know, what we don't want them to do, they want to do it because it's been awakened in them by this type of lesson.
Chairman Todd.
Thank you. I believe their interests are already peaked. I think they're in video games, in just everyday life, what they see on the news, what they see on TV shows and movies. That interest is already there. And so I think because of that, they are probably more inclined to, hey, I saw in this TV show that I like somebody handling a gun. It must be okay for me to handle. But if they're hearing at school, this is not appropriate for you to handle until you're old enough, or you're with a parent that's properly training you, I think that drives that point home that it's not something you play with. This is a dangerous weapon. It is to be used for certain purposes, and it's not to be used by children.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Let's go to Chairman Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for bringing this bill. I think it's a very worthwhile effort, and I indeed applaud the idea that we need to address the safety issues associated with firearms in our school children. The more correctly we can teach them about the dangers involved with it, the more likely they are to be able to avoid those dangers. So thank you very much.
Chairman Todd, any comment?
Thank you. And while you were speaking, it reminded me of something I should have said early on, and I didn't. This bill, very similar to this. I mean, we took out a provision of a minimum requirement of time, but this same bill that had the minimum requirement of time passed in 2020 on the House floor. But when we recessed for COVID, Senate didn't pick it up when we came back. So this has been vetted before. It's an idea that I think is good. And I think it'll be very helpful, as you said, Chairman Reagan, for our children.
Representative McCalman, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move previous question.
Okay. Is there objection to previous question that's been called? I need to see 3 hands. Okay. Is there objection to previous question? We will take a vote on the calling of previous question. Takes a two-thirds, right? Two-thirds vote. You want to, Representative McCalman, you want to withdraw your?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I will withdraw for my colleague from Shelby County.
Okay. Representative Chisholm, before you're up, you have to recognize that you've been late for committee, and therefore Mr. Glenn is off the hook for lunch today. You'll have to buy lunch for everybody seated before you. Okay, do I hear a motion? Do I hear a motion and a second on that? Thank you very much. Representative Chisholm, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. To the sponsor. Well, let me say this to the whole committee. When I was 9 years old, I took a hunter safety course from the TWRA, and it showed the parts of a firearm, the uses of a firearm, how to carry it safely, how to. It shows some illustrations on what a firearm does to flesh, and I do believe that that information would help in counteract some of the things that they see on TV and video games, and because currently that's what's educating our kids on firearms is our television and our video games. So I do think this could be a good piece of legislation to give a accurate picture of the uses and uses of a firearm. My question is this bill going to be a requirement for LEA? I'm pretty sure the answer already, but I'm gonna ask again. Is it a requirement, or is it another option for LEAs to use?
Chairman Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that question. It is a requirement, but it does count toward the credits that they need for the safety training. So it adds into what their already doing what's already required, but they get credit for it. So it should be, and many are already doing this. I'm finding out as just an option that they work in because they know the importance of it. So, but it does codify that it is a requirement under the SAVE Act.
Members, before I go to the next representative, I've heard it a couple times now about video games. Maybe myself and Chairman Moody and Vice Chairman Rabin will get together and maybe get a presentation before this committee or the full committee on the detrimental effects that these video games are having on our children. So we'll see if we can work on that for everybody too. Next up is Representative Bain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to clarify that the bill stipulates that each LEA and public charter school shall annually provide students. Does that include private schools that also take vouchers?
Chairman Dow, if you want to address.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this only addresses public schools because that's what the SAVE Act requires right now.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Sergeant Arms, you want to chime in here? No, okay. You heard the bill before you, members, in its proposition. We're going to take the vote without objection. All those in favor of moving House Bill 2882 to full education instruction, say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have. If you want your vote recorded as a no, see the clerk. Mr. Chairman, we'll see you in full ed next week, sir. Members, anything else before the committee for the business? Motion to entertain and to adjourn? So moved. We are adjourned.
All right, I will get on that video game presentation.